Hello, you guys. We are live again, and we are going to be introducing Nick Crighton. I hope I said that right. Crighton.
You did.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And he's going to be talking about the RFP that was posted on IOPPS.CA. So without further ado, welcome, Nick.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Nick. Good, good, good. Well, let's just get right to it. I told you guys I went live last night and I did show a couple job postings plus the request for proposal, the RFP, the virtual presenter for Indigenous Awareness training. And Nick is coming on today to literally talk about that one posting. So go ahead, Nick, take it away.
Yeah, so essentially the Saskatchewan Chamber, long story short, the Saskatchewan Chamber of Commerce offers Indigenous awareness training. And since COVID hit, we actually moved everything virtually online as of April 2020. And so we've been consistently doing level 1, just very of Indigenous awareness training.
Mm-hmm.
All three of those levels is what's going to be expected of the successful applicant that applies for this. But essentially, we're looking for a virtual presenter to do all three of those levels
Okay.
and be able to be energetic and into it. So, like I said, we started in April, and now I've been doing. We started off with John Lage Modier.
Yeah.
Everyone's familiar with John and Winston and what they're doing. But then he got really busy and his schedule got tied up with other contracts. So I jumped in and have been doing them since June or something like that of last year.
Yeah.
And now I'm kind of shifting my focus away from the training and moving into a little bit more of the Indigenous engagement policy.
All right. I'll
That's
bring
about
up the job
myself.
posting here on IOPPS.CA, and then you can just kind of go through it real quick, and then we'll get more
Definitely.
into it there.
Yeah, absolutely.
There you go. I'll put it full screen for everybody. Can you see
Yes,
it?
where you want to find it is IOPPS.CA.
Yeah, you can see it.
I can.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so that's what we were looking for. I can't scroll down unless you're
Yeah.
scrolling, I think.
Yeah.
Essentially, that's what it is. It's a request for proposal. You go on. It's pretty. It's only a couple of pages. Read through it. Essentially, what we're trying to do here is provide. When we offer the training, what we're looking for is a presenter that has the ability to teach about our history, our Indigenous history through kind of an Indigenous worldview. We have historically been taught Canadian history from a settler worldview. What we want out of our presenter is to be able to offer this Indigenous awareness training in an engaging way,
Mhm.
in a safe environment, but not only safe, but a place where there's going to be some difficult discussions that need to happen and information that necessarily wasn't readily available or wasn't even offered in our provincial curriculum. And so that's what the RFP is. Most people are aware of what Indigenous awareness training is.
Yeah.
But ultimately, we're looking for an engaging presenter that has experience. And then the cool thing about Indigenous awareness training is that you can kind of add your own personal stories on how some of the policies that are going to be discussed. So, we briefly touch on, like, I'll touch on treaties. I'll touch on the Indian Act, the policies that go along with that, residential schools, 60 scoop, all of these oppressive policies that have been forced onto Indigenous people that our progress and had led to a lot of oppression and issues. And so the reason we talk about history is because it's important for us to understand
Yeah.
the history and how those decisions are affecting us in more contemporary times today. And so that's kind of the idea and who we're looking for. But ultimately, we want to try and bring in more people to tell their story, because I've done it a lot. John, he's busy, he would do it, others. And so we're just opening it up to the province, even Western Canada. If anyone is interested, please fill out the you essentially is your resume. We'll set something up, and even just a sample of a virtual presentation that you've done, because it's different in person than it is virtual.
Yeah. So
Just like you. So, anyways, go ahead.
anyone can work from anywhere basically in Canada, right? Doing
You
this?
don't have to be, yeah, man. As long as you basically, we've already got the content, you're right, and so we've already have the content for you. We just want to be able to see if you have that ability to be engaging
Yeah.
if this is something you're interested in, send us your resume. So yeah, it could be anywhere.
Nice. And number one thing everyone always wants to ask, what about the pay? How does the pay work?
Well, essentially, where does it say that?
Uh,
Does it say anything on there? Give me 1 second here. I think you would just come up with a proposal on your own when it comes to RFPs, right? So then you would decide. We have a schedule, kind of a rough schedule from level 1, 2, and 3,
yeah.
and then you would just decide. That's how we decide on when you bid on an RFP. Take a look at best value over price, right? And we're not looking necessarily at the best price, but I'm just looking at best value. We weigh it based on a whole bunch of considerations when we look at RFPs,
Mhm.
and so they can use this RFP as a template to kind of create um, a pay structure for themselves if they're a consultant. Most consultants will have a solid understanding of what they would like to be paid, and so they would propose an idea, and we'll
So
take
what
it
if
kind of on.
someone had is very, very charismatic on virtual but has no uh I guess training to do a webinar? Could someone go in there, you know, they know what they're doing, but they have no experience. Would you guys look at something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. They don't necessarily need to be have done as many presentations or have this extensive resume just because COVID's a new world,
Yeah.
right? And so we don't know things, once vaccines roll out. I mean, Regina's terrible for the variant anyways. We don't know what it's going to look like in the future. And moving forward, what we're scheduled for is to do virtual. Ideally, what we are looking for is that this person would have an extended contract where then once virtual's out of the way, we're going to move to in person. But it could be a combination in the future of in person and virtual, just depending on the need, depending on the company, depending on whatever the case may be. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I was actually even going to take a shot at and applying for this thing, but yeah, I'm too busy as
you
myself,
cut
but it's a very interesting job, I think, a very interesting job. And you're right, we're in a new world and everything's virtual and we got to just adapt, and it is what it is, right? Oh,
100%. Go ahead.
you got a fan there. Oh, Michael LaRock. He remembers you back from the day.
Nice. Right on. If it's the same Michael, is it the goalie Michael LaRock? I don't know, or unless it's a different Michael LaRock.
I don't know. Could be.
I might be wrong, maybe.
But yeah, we're
What were we
talking
talking
about an
about? Sorry,
RFP.
you're cutting out here.
What's that?
You're cutting in and out, so I might be missing you. My Wi-Fi is, I guess, terrible.
No, sorry if I'm cutting in and out, I'm res Wi-Fi.
That
Res
should be
Wi-Fi,
that's something that you talk to your CNC or the
right?
feds.
Just
Tell them to
complain.
make that a priority, a campaign promise. You're gonna have the fastest 5G internet service in Red Pheasant.
If you elect me, you guys will have the best internet
There you go.
ever.
You sure enough, put your face up right now, and then you can have a campaign. Go ahead, start your speech.
Yeah. Uh yeah, good old res connection. Yeah, no kidding. So there you guys go. If you want to talk anything more about it, or
Yeah, no, I'll Indigenous awareness, like I said, a lot of people might have preconceived notions about it. And what I want to say
Mhm.
about Indigenous awareness is that the cool thing about Indigenous awareness is that it is just your first step. So it's an intro. You're learning about definitions, you're teaching them about treaties, somebody that can provide that Indigenous lens. We've all been taught history from the Canadian settler point of view. We want that Indigenous lens because that story isn't being told enough. The other part about Indigenous awareness training is that by no means do we believe that this is going to suddenly um, flip and do a 180 on businesses or anything like that. This is just the
yeah,
first step, and even just understanding the history so we don't make those mistakes of the past and we can learn from that. That's what I was taught, is that if you have a voice, you should be able to share that voice. And this is that you're opportunity to. You do have content, but there's some leeway, there's some give, on what's being provided. And there's so much people, especially in our province, that just don't have the knowledge because they haven't grown up around it. They haven't
yeah,
grown up around those issues. Some people are completely unaware, and we want to dispel myths about taxation. We want to dispel myths about free education, and whatever the case may be. And so that's what all three of these levels are going to do. The other thing that I think is really important to point out, Nathan, is that you'll notice on the RFP says that there's a level 3 training. And so that's about an hour presentation. And level 3 training is on cultural protocols and traditions.
Mhm.
And so cultural protocols and traditions, that one, I was a little weary about actually offering that and actually taking registration funding, because you have to register, all that kind of stuff. And then that knowledge that I have from cultural protocols is something that it was passed down to me from knowledge keepers and elders and stuff like that. And so, in order for me to feel a little bit better about it, 100% of registrations for level 1 going to the Saskatchewan First Nations Veterans Association.
Mm.
So, a lot of the information that I'm sharing is just the basics and understanding, like attending a powwow, what to expect at a pipe ceremony, sweat lodge, very basics. I don't have the rights, as you know, to
Yeah.
discuss what happens at those ceremonies. Ultimately, it's up to the individual to go and learn
Mhm.
and experience it for themselves. But I wanted to mention that as well, because some people have asked that question, is like the question of like, oh, you're selling culture. And that's not the case at all. We there's a book by the Saskatchewan Indigenous Cultural Center out of Saskatoon. It's actually published in with consultation of a lot of elders and knowledge keepers, and it has more in-depth knowledge. So I just take highlights from that book essentially, and stuff that I learned and what to
Yeah.
expect, because as you know, white people are very afraid of things that they get uncomfortable if they now they're asked to go to a pipe ceremony, now they're asked to go to a sweat lodge, now they're asked to go to a powwow, and that stuff scares them, right? And it does. It's a real fear, and people have to be able to conquer that fear, make themselves get comfortable being uncomfortable. Indigenous people deal with it every
Yep.
day of their lives. It's to settler community to feel that as well, and that's a part of what this training hopefully is going to do. And then beyond that, I always insist that after you take Indigenous awareness training, don't you get this high after you do a presentation, right, Nathan, or this high after you learn something new. And what I try to express to people is that come Monday morning, that's what's gonna when it's come times to put pen to paper, or start making a strategy, start making a plan. How are you going to make your workplace more inclusive of the Indigenous population, whether it be in procurement, community investment, recruitment, whatever. That's when the real work begins. And then not only that, take a look at even going farther. Take a look at doing anti-racism training and your personal biases, and learn about the history of the education system in our province and how we've been indoctrinated to believe um, that's how education should be, right? So
Yeah.
it's literally just trying to reprogram your brain and listening to um and putting placing the amount of value on Indigenous knowledge and history that it deserves.
Wow. This is I want to take
So
the
that's
class,
it at
even
that.
though I know lots of stuff, but not all of it. Um
I know a hookup, so
you know guy, hey, right on.
I know a guy. Yeah.
So all the information is on IOPPS.CA, you guys, for this request for proposal. This is not a podcast. Remember, I am switching it up, and this is how IOPPS.CA, sharing Indigenous success, this page, and my LinkedIn, my YouTube channel, is going to be going forward. I'm going to be bringing on people that are offering a job for Indigenous people. They're offering training. That's where we are going forward. I think we did enough podcasts. Like I did interview with Nick before, and I brought in other past guests, but now we're focusing on what my website, IOPPS.CA, and this is one of the postings that was on there, an RFP for virtual presenter for Indigenous awareness training. Nick Crighton is. Am I saying that right? Crighton.
I don't know, man. It's white, so my dad's so not gonna offend me if you said it wrong or not. I think I say Crichton. I've been called a lot, and my name Nick rhymes with a lot of things. So I promise you, I've been called worse, my bro.
Yeah.
So you mispronouncing my last name. I don't even know if you're. I don't even know how to pronounce it right. So you might be saying it correctly.
Me too. Like Arius, like, the Spanish last name, and it's everyone's like, "How do you pronounce it?" I don't know. I was like, I just say Arius.
And I was gonna ask the same question because I was like,
Just
is there Arius is popular in Resin?
yeah, out of yeah. I'm a Watney if anyone wants to know. But yeah, the Aries is from my dad's side. Anyway,
Nice. Whatney.
yeah, the Watneys. Anyway, so looking forward to you guys. You guys can. This job posting is posted till I think I didn't even look.
16th, April 16th. So you got some
April.
time.
Yeah, and it's right across Canada, you guys. I know IOPPS is Saskatchewan based, but I am going to be starting posting jobs. Hopefully, right across Canada, I can get everyone to start applying here because I do want IOPPS.CA to become the #1 destination for Indigenous job postings. With the help of the people like Nick here, working in spaces like Saskatchewan Chamber of Commerce, I can get there. With that, yeah, just a quick little conversation. I want to thank Nick for coming on. Nick, you want to close it out with saying with anything or?
No, man. Thanks for the opportunity. Like I said, I encourage everyone to apply. Thanks for having me on and being able to promote this because I think it's important. So I appreciate the time.
Awesome. With that, you guys, I'm out of here and stay tuned for the next job update. We'll see you then.